We have two goals, and that's going to be to learn about the atomic number of an atom and also to learn about the mass number of an atom. So let's dive right into it, guys. Here we go. The atomic number of an atom is simply the number of protons in the nucleus, alright? And I do use this little P plus a lot in my videos because I don't feel like writing out protons in my notes. But once again, from the last video, this is the protons in the nucleus. And if we look over at our picture here, I see I have a proton here, and I also have another proton over here. Those are the positively charged subatomic particles located in the nucleus. So the atomic number in this picture is this. The atomic number is number 2. So once again, the atomic number is simply the number of protons in the nucleus, and it also is identified as the periodic table number. And if we check out our periodic table, what do I mean by our periodic table number? Well, most often a periodic table is going to have a little key that tells you what's going on inside the boxes. And the key that I'm going to draw for you, just on this periodic table, because every periodic table is a little different, I want you to key in on the number that on this periodic table is in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to circle them. This element is 1. On the far right, follow me over here, that's 2. Those are the atomic numbers. That tells me that hydrogen on the left-hand side here has 1 proton in the nucleus. And if I go all the way over here to the right-hand side, helium is different than hydrogen in that it has 2 protons in its nucleus. Okay, how about this? What comes next? The atomic number of lithium is 3, and beryllium, it's 4. Once again, it's 3 protons, tells me that the element is lithium, and 4 protons tells me the element is beryllium. Okay, how about this, guys? What element has 6 protons in the nucleus? Okay, go find the element with the atomic number 6, and there you go. That's carbon. So carbon is different than all other elements in that it is the only element that has 6 protons in its nucleus. Alright, let's try another one here. Which element has 20 protons in the nucleus? Can you find that on here? Takes 2 seconds. Press the pause button. Which element has 20 protons in the nucleus? Alright, here we go. That's calcium. So the periodic table of elements is the periodic table, and it shows us the number of protons that are in the nucleus of each element. And every element is different because every element contains a different amount of protons in its nucleus. I just want to bring up another periodic table I found on the internet. Now, once again, even though this one does not have a key, sometimes, but not all the time, in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to find, once again, there is our atomic number of the element. So the atomic number is useful and simply tells us the number of protons in the nucleus of our element. So with the periodic tables can all look a little different, but basically they're going to tell us the same exact thing. How many protons are in the nucleus? What element am I dealing with? And this actually down here, the last number is called the average atomic mass. And you can also think of it as the average mass number, which is the next topic we're talking about. So usually they show 3 things at minimum. Usually 3, okay? So this is just a different periodic table that I wanted you to see. But once again, you can still find out the number of protons in iron is 26, cobalt is 27, nickel is 28, and there's copper, let's go down, silver, and gold. Alright, those are the protons there, the atomic number. Alright guys, so let's use our periodic table to find out how many protons are in helium, how many protons are in carbon, and how many protons are in lead. So why don't you press pause, find a periodic table, and figure those out. So here we go, here's my periodic table, the same one I used before, and I've identified right here, that's helium, right here, that's carbon, and down here, that's lead. And helium has 2 protons in the nucleus, carbon has 6, and lead has 82. Alright guys, hopefully you scored well on that little quiz. The mass number is simply going to be the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. So I think of it as my protons and my neutrons combined together. So if I add up all the protons in the nucleus plus all the neutrons in the nucleus, I come up with the mass of the atom. And this is called the mass number. I like to think of it as the mass of the atom. Alright, a little bullet here, the mass of the atom comes from the nucleus. And I want you to remember the electrons literally weigh 1/2000th the weight of a proton or neutron, so really they don't weigh much at all. I almost think of them as atomic dust. So if your atom is mainly protons, neutrons, and electrons really don't count for anything as far as mass is concerned, the mass has to come from the protons and neutrons then. Those are the only 2 other things remaining, and so therefore they get the term the mass number when I combine them. Okay, here we go. This is the element number 17. It has 17 protons and 18 neutrons. Couple question here. What is the atomic number? What element is it? And what is the mass number? So take out your periodic tables, press the pause button, and give this a shot. Okay, here's my periodic table, and the first question I want to address is really what element am I dealing with here, and I'm going to find element number 17. Element number 17 is over on the right hand side in the upper right hand corner, and that's going to be chlorine. It has 17 protons in the nucleus. So the atomic number, once again, is 17. 17 tells me that it is element number, it is element that is called chlorine. So that's where I'm going to identify the element. So the element gets identified by the number of protons, and at 17, 17 identifies it as the element chlorine. So here I'm filling in some blanks already. The atomic number is 17, the element's name is chlorine, and lastly, what's the mass number? The mass number simply comes from adding up your protons and your neutrons. So 17 and 18 is going to give me a nice 35 atomic mass units as my mass number. So 35 is the mass number. That's simply the number of protons and the neutrons. Alright, good job guys if you got that one correct. And here we go, we're going to check out element number 8. So I have 8 protons and 8 neutrons. And one thing I want you to know is that the periodic table will never tell you the number of neutrons. You're not going to find the number of neutrons in the periodic table. Just is not going to happen. You get the protons on there, you get the elements, identification, what element it is, but you're never going to find out how many neutrons come from the periodic table. It's just not a reliable place to find it. Okay, so let's check out this one. You have 8 protons, 8 neutrons, take out your periodic tables, give it a shot. Alright, so here we go. We're looking at a different periodic table just to prove we can use more than one periodic table. I'm looking for 8 protons. So here's 5, 6, 7, and it might be difficult to read, but this is definitely 8 right here. So it's 8 protons. 8 protons is the element oxygen. Here we go. Alright. And sometimes students like to think this is the mass number. Okay? That is not the mass number. That is the average mass number. That's right, the average mass number. There can be more than, like oxygen can have more than 8 neutrons. It might have 9 neutrons. It might have 10 neutrons. And those are different forms of the same element. That's called isotopes. That's a different lesson. But I just want you to know that is an average mass number, also known as the average atomic mass. So please don't rely on that number to get you the number of neutrons. Once again, it's only an average mass number. So element number 8 is oxygen. And let's go back to our other screen. Alright guys, so we've identified this as element number 8. The element number 8 is oxygen. And what is the mass number? In this case, the mass number is protons and neutrons. 8 protons, 8 neutrons gives me a mass number of 16. Once again, these electrons that are chilling out, you have 8 electrons. We're not even going to count them in the mass because they weigh 1/2000th of an atomic mass unit. Alright guys, that's all the practice we're going to have tonight on atomic number and mass number. Hope you enjoyed the video. Rewind it at your pleasure to review the topics. Have a good night.